In Stanley Kubrick's 1968 science fiction epic, 2001 A Space Odyssey, human evolution is the process of our salvation that begins with the dawn of man and ends at Jupiter. The film's mysterious black rectangular monolith is a guide inspiring man to solve problems on the path to our destiny. In the dawn of man, the apes wake up to find the monolith outside of their cave. They don't know what it is. Its rectangular shape stands out from the natural rock formations around it. Their lives up to this point are determined by their instincts, their emotions, and urges. But now, for the first time ever, something designed by intelligence and not the random forces of nature appears out of nowhere and challenges them to do something they have never done. Think. I compare this scene with the monolith's discovery on the moon. When Dr. Haywood Floyd and a team of scientists discovered the monolith that had been buried there for 4 million years. That something of intelligence is discovered on a lifeless planet is a metaphor for the idea sparked in the mind of the ape man who turned the bone of a dead animal into a weapon. In Jupiter, the monolith is found on the moon and sends a signal to Jupiter that the spaceship happens to pick up. A computer called HAL has complete control over the ship. HAL picks up the monolith's signal, which causes it to develop human emotions. When Dave decides to replace Hal for misdiagnosing a faulty antenna, the computer systematically eliminates the astronauts on the ship. Dr. Frank Poole does a spacewalk to reinstall the antenna, and Hal uses a pod to sever Frank's oxygen hose. Dave goes out in a pod to recover Frank's body, but Hal refuses to let Dave back into the ship. It knows of their plans to take him offline. This is the point where the monolith signal affects Dave's thinking, and he decides to use the manual airlock to get back into the ship, then going on to deactivate Hal's memory. This metaphor of coming into new knowledge is expressed when he aligns the pod door with the ship's door and opens the hatch and explodes into the ship like a child being born out of one world and into another. His decision to take back control of his life from Hal represents an evolutionary leap sparked by the monolith on the moon. Both Hal and Dave are inspired with the same idea simultaneously, that in order for either to survive, the other must die. Hal is man's belief that science and technological breakthroughs are all we need to get to the next level. The monolith inspires Dave to realize that man must evolve spiritually as well as technologically to make it to our ultimate form. Also, to support this metaphor, the technology inside the ship surrounds Dave prior to his breakthrough, but after passing or graduating to the next level by passing through the Stargate and making it to Jupiter, he is surrounded by old antique furniture, which by design represents character. In Beyond the Infinite, Bowman finds himself inside of a room decorated with antique furniture. He walks from room to room, seeing older and older versions of himself in every one. He wakes up in bed, old and near death, and sees the monolith towering over him. His accelerated aging in this scene represents the speed of technological development getting faster and faster. It takes millions of years for the ape man to reach space, but only moments after reaching Jupiter for man to evolve to Star Child. I compare this to how rapidly technological breakthroughs are occurring today. No one could have imagined innovations like the iPhone or self-driving automobiles just a few years ago. But in Dave's case, making it to the next stage requires a spiritual transformation. This explains the paradox of the world we live in today, where we have so much technology and awareness of the world, but we can't solve homelessness, suicide, wars, starvation, and many other social problems that have plagued us throughout history. One could argue that there has been an inverse relationship between civilization's technological progress and its social and moral ills. The overall message of 2001 is that man is an intermediate stage and not the final stage of human development, and that we are meant to be something much greater than we can ever imagine. It is not to angels that he has subjected the world to come, about which we are speaking. But there is a place where someone has testified, "What is mankind that you are mindful of them? A son of man that you care for him. You made them a little lower than the angels. You crowned them with glory and honor, and put everything under their feet. In putting everything under them, God left nothing that is not subject to them. Yet at present, we do not see everything subject to them. But we do see Jesus, who was made lower than the angels for a little while, now crowned with glory and honor because he suffered death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone." And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you taking out of your time. Again, this is my interpretation of Stanley Kubrick's 1968 film, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Thank you, and I will see you next time.